Hello, welcome back to Father of Two Plays Pillars of Eternity. Last time we had spoken with this statue here who has the spirit of the founder of the sanitarium. In it, he told us where we could find the
Alright then.
person we're looking for. Did we look at this guy's past? I don't think so. Just reading the first paragraph, and I don't really recognize it. You see a dark room with garish furnishings. A large bed covered with pillows, several couches, and expensive rugs. This man is sitting in a chair pushed against the wall of the room opposite the door. He is dressed in dark clothes with a black cloak wrapped around his shoulders, its hood pulled close around his face. Shadows fall across him, the darkness rendering him virtually invisible. Two other men wait in the darkness with him, watching the door. All three are motionless. Noise from the crowded common room below echoes up through the floorboards. The handle rattles. A man staggers in, dragging in a young woman with him. The two standing men exchange a quick glance, one of them tilting his head and shrugging only slightly before jumping to the task at hand. Ran out of breath there. One steps forward, grabbing the girl's wrist, wrenching it from her escort's hold with one hand while pushing the door closed with the other. Then that hand is over the girl's mouth before she is even aware she's in someone else's arms. He takes a dagger from its place on his belt and draws it across her neck. He holds her still, waits for the struggles to stop. The other standing man has already subdued their target, now tied him to a chair, arms and legs bound with a rag stuffed in his mouth. The girl, no longer moving, is placed under the bed, the man who dealt with her taking his place beside the other. They stare down at the man screaming against the cloth, but the muffled sound is unheard over the raucous noise of the crowd below. One of the men begins murmuring softly, putting his hand under the chin of the man in the chair. There's a brief flash of light and the man stops struggling, a suddenly placid look in his eyes. The two captors ask various questions that the bound man answers happily. After they finish, the two look to the man sitting against the wall. He is not moved as the events transpired before him, but only sat, silently observing everything as it happened. He stands, holding the cloak around himself, and nods to the two men. He then walks to the door, opens it, only far enough to allow himself to exit, and leaves them to their to finish their tasks. Not to their final tasks. Though they may have been that as well. So the guy's in the basement that we're looking for. We have a few books to read, I believe. Did we read about Verna here? No, I don't think so. Verna, you sense a strange divide in this woman's soul, an unnatural boundary between two opposed wills. You see the woman pausing by a roadside to hand something to the driver of a stopped wagon. These herbs should help with the party's sickness, she tells him. He can find more along the road, easy to spot with their serrated leaves, but avoid the ones with the green berries. It's a different species, toxic. He thanks her and offers her coin, but she waves him off, explaining that she is merely doing what her order asks of her. He nods and she heads off down the road as he begins to hungrily consume the herb. You see the woman searching along the road now, the wagon just up the path, and you realize you have skipped backwards in her memory. She's set eyes on a plant with serrated leaves and green berries. She picks several handfuls, tearing the berries off one by one and tossing them to the ground. She nudges them off the path into the brush quickly with her boot without looking down, as if to hide them from her own sight, before striding back toward the wagon, hands outstretched. A poisoner? Nobles. This man's soul was torn asunder by a biowick. Crazy. He looks kind of like he's breathing. Sure, they're all on him so far. I think we read that one. We'll have to compare it to our stash of books, but I think we read that one before. These look like field sketches of Angwithan ruins and artifacts. Adair Customs. Alright. Well, I guess we're heading down. This painting of a rolling forest glen has a strangely soothing effect. Save quickly? Yes. Yes, we shall. I'm wondering what we should specialize Adair in, because I think we should do that eventually. Specialize him in a type of weapons. I gotta be honest, I'm not usually all about flails or maces, but I'm liking this Morning Star he has. Currently. Belisage? This strange device seems to thrum with power.
How do you do?
A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Akosi! Here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I don't see the kiss standing right in front of me. What can I do? What do you do here? According to my research grant, I study awakenings. Sublimating pre-awakened souls has been one of Animancy's greatest successes, and I'm working on a method to replicate the process on awakened souls. She gnaws at her lip. But the truth is that I find few suitable subjects here. Widewind's legacy has left plenty of awakened souls, but most are too broken for study. She sighs. I fear I will return to review with nothing, or revow with nothing to show for my efforts. I'm awakened. I've been recalling flashbacks, or flashes of a past life. She scratches her chin. Most interesting, but not the kind of awakening I could study, I'm afraid. I need someone whose awakened soul can be triggered with predictable stimuli. Souls such as these tend to manifest as alternate personas in the host. She gives you a broad, if strained smile, but I thank you for the offer. Something else you need? I'd like to know more about Animancy in the Valian Republics. It's a dynamic and respected field. Even the Bale Reach incident did little to slow it. She shrugs. People in the Republics are more accepting of risk, less superstitious, ready to try anything that shows promise. But Animancy also has potential to do great harm. I'm not sure whether the benefits outweigh the dangers. This is true of any great technology. You cut a man open to remove sick flesh and there's a chance you kill him. Build a boat to explore a new land and perhaps it sinks with you aboard. But surely these things make us better off, even though they sometimes fail. Yeah, good point, but when yours fails, it could be especially bad. Why is there a cell here? Oh, for the people she's gonna study. It's Modred. Maybe we'll wait and check out the rest of this place first. Guards. Nobody in here? The edges of the cage are dented and scored with claw marks. Ew. I mean, like, not ew, but kind of creepy.
Yes.
What did that say? Unlocking requires the proper key. Okay. And proper key. Okay, we're good then. Let's go talk to Modred. I keep wanting to say Mordred, but I'm sure it's pronounced Modred. So we can like look in that chest without it being stealing.
Laying low.
Check for traps. Okay. Well, I'm gonna save before I try it out. In a corner of Modred's lab rests a large weathered trunk. It seems likely to contain something important, if only by virtue of its size. Examine the trunk more closely. The lack of dust on the trunk's surface and the long scratches on the tile floor suggest that the trunk is frequently used and moved throughout the laboratory despite its considerable size. Deep yet narrow gouges score the wood at the edges of the trunk. They look like claw marks. Huh. We'll leave it alone for now, but that's a creepy trunk. Let's check his notes. Unexpected results. The canine host was listless and unresponsive, but it was determined that this was simply the implanted feline soul. Yarn resulted in vigorous stimulation. Almost said simulation. Huh. Okay, what do you have to say? An animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in silent discourse. As your shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Hello.
Can I help you? He forces a polite smile. What are you working on? My area of focus is wicts. More specifically, how to cure them. What is a wict? A Hollowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of the Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. He removes his spectacles and wipes his brow. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We Animancers were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. He stares at a fixed point on the far wall, and despite the controversy, it only went so far because, at first, it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. He takes a slow breath. The complications don't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down animancers and burned down their homes. With them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it, but we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Why do you study wicts? He husks. What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? His face is reddened, and he turns away from you for a moment. He shakes his head. Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. I see. Does the name Helig mean anything to you? Modred starts. Helig? Is a colleague of mine. He was primarily a necromancer, but he was involved in animancy too. He worked at the sanitarium for several years. I dare say everyone here has heard of him. He clears his throat. He left his post recently. I believe he was seeking new opportunities in the Valian republics. He leans forward. The advances they're making in animancy really are quite remarkable. Surely you've heard. He coughs again. Perhaps you haven't. Do you know a woman named Rowena? No, I don't get out of the sanitarium much. About Helig, Modred smoothed his robes. As I said, he no longer works here. I've heard it differently. He slides his spectacles down his nose. Just what are you insinuating? If this is your idea of a joke, I assure you, it's in very poor taste. So you didn't sink a blade into his chest and dump him in the catacombs? He'll be relieved to hear that. Modred pales. How could... He sighs and runs a hand over his hair. Very well. Yes, I killed him. I killed that beast because nobody else had the spine for it. He was a madman. Years of perverse experiments, twisting healthy souls, torturing damaged souls. And for what? He flayed the essence from Glanfithin in indigence for his amusement. He waves down the hall. If the public had known half of his deeds, they'd have razed this place to the ground. He jabs his finger on the desk. He used the sanitarium to disguise his own sick proclivities. He brought shame on all of us and put the entire discipline at risk. I regret nothing. He calms down and sizes you up. Anyway, now you know the whole grisly story. Helig's soul returned to his corpse through sinister magic. He wants revenge. No doubt. He spreads his hands wide. Now, do you understand why I killed him? Why someone had to? If he sent you, I can only hope I could convince you to return and slay him once and for all. He has something I need. You'd consider a deal with that monster? He puts his head in his hands. What? If what I've told you hasn't swayed you, I doubt anything will. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Modred turns back to his papers.
Greetings.
So about Helig? Helig said you stole a grimoire from him. Modred's brow furrows. His grimoire? What's that madman been telling you? He said you kept it in that trunk over there. Modred takes the key with a trembling hand, his eyes darting to the trunk behind you. You've been misled. There's no grimoire here, and Helig never intended you to find one. That wretched thing has an insatiable hunger for blood. He shudders. Thank you for denying him. I hope I can convince you now to return and slay him once and for all. I guess we're just gonna go deal with him. Modred nods, relieved. Good, I'm glad someone finally will. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Modred turns back to his papers. Yeah, I don't know. We'll go back and we'll slay him. It's not the next thing I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm very curious about what's in the trunk. I should have just looked, shouldn't I? Oh well. Too late to go back on it now, I think. What was in there? What did he intend me to find? If I wasn't here for his grimoire, why would he have told me that? Obviously, I'm gonna see the thing I grabbed before I bring it back to him. Oh well. Well, we want to go to the Ducal Palace. We need to go to the Temple of Wodica. And we have to chase, or are going to chase down some bandits that headed to Deerfoot Village, I think? So, those are all things on the docket. However, there's another building there. First fires. Andra's gift. So I guess we're going to first fires? Or is that where we came from? I now cannot recall. Let's see what's going on in Hadrid House first. The marble at the base has been worn smooth by the passage of hundreds of feet. Dunride agents. Right, Dunride Row, Hadrid House. Curtin's wasted his time with those disappearances. A link, yes, I'm certain of it. This map shows the environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Flags mark strategic access points to the city. Stealing to look at the table. Curran.
Gods keep you.
The Orline man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end, and his ears prick up as you approach. I thought about going Cypher. Seemed like a cool way to approach the game. But I wanted to go with Ranger because that's what I was and am in Baldur's Gate. You carry whispers, Kednua, Gilded Veil, old voices indeed. How did you know? The Orland grins, revealing a row of dagger-pointed teeth. As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of ancients. What else can you tell me? His ears twitch downward. Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. He regards a table piled with scrolls. What brings you to Dunride Row? What are you so busy with? His small, furry hands gesture expansively at the papers before him. Hollowborn growing unrest and ever-present political intrigues. With so many missing souls, missing persons are the least of our concern these days. Tell me more about your skills. I check for soul connections, looking for lost things, missing things, or troublesome things, particularly where people of power and influence are concerned. I'm a cipher. In Air Glanfath, we were once known as Brishalgwyn, Mind Hunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began working with my kind 40 years ago that we truly understood our power. Now, we make some of the best detectives in the world. See, that's another reason I would just have loved to be a cipher. Love being a detective. Tracing souls, we could look at a person and see where they have been, or look at a weapon and see who has touched it. His nose twitches as he looks at you. Useful for solving crimes, as you can imagine. It looks as though you could use some help. Curran wags a clawed finger. Not at liberty to discuss my work, unfortunately. Dunride Row, ears only. A civilian would need the confidence of Lady Webb before I could share. Farewell. Interesting. Some of these vintages are even older than Defiance Bay. This place seems less sinister than it did when I read about it. Let's take a little look around. We could save here too. Couple of things to check out in here. It's probably stealing. Yeah. A group of notes speculate about the identity and location of a secret sect in Defiance Bay. Either these notes are written in code or the author's handwriting is atrocious. It could be either. Probably the former, though. Okay. Affixed to the wall are leads in a case involving, apparently, a caravan that disappeared. En route to New Halmar. Okay, let's head upstairs then. Oh, you know what? We have some books to read. Let's take a look at that quickly. Okay, a Valiant Tragedy. Let's look at our books here. And any ones that look the same? Probably. Okay, we haven't read that. Nazatique Poetry, a compilation. No. Oh yeah. We've read that one, so we can put that away. We have that one right here, so we've read that. Psalm to Wodica. Book of Verses. Psalm to Wodica. Okay, we read that. Adir Customs. No. No. So I don't think we've read these two, if I am correct in my assessment. So let's take a look at this one. The Most Unfortunate Tale of Favia and Bernat, a Valian Tragedy. Scene. Laia watches Bernat approach Favia's tree, looking for her human form. Laia. Behold, now comes the fun, that for which I have waited. His love is forfeit, her life is forfeit, and all I have worked towards shall be fulfilled. He says he knows his love. He says no force in the world could keep him from her. But what chance has force against guile? Never will he find his love, for she is no longer his love. The spell cannot be undone except by her death, and by then it will be too late. But, wait, he has seen her. Laia steps back to observe. Favia. Pray, mortal, why have you come here? These woods are not for your kind. The affairs of men have no place at this tree. Leave. Leave ere your welcome lapses. Bernat. Foul creature, where is my love? What have you done with her? Always this has been the station for our encounters. Never before have I seen you. Where is my love? Answer! Answer ere my patience lapses. Favia. Fool! This is my land, and this is my tree. Your presence never before has been felt. Again, I say to you, leave. My generosity will not be extended a third time. Laia steps forward again. Laia? Talk? Discussion? I know the way to hurry the conclusion of this tale. Laia takes a breath and extends her throat as if she's yelling. A scream comes from the copse of trees where the Poigra stands. My love! Bernat steps forward, brandishing his sword. Bernat. Prepare yourself, wretch, for not even death can stand between me and my love. I will have her from you, or you will meet your end. Bernat moves towards Favia, who closes to fight. They fight. During the fight, Bernat is grievously injured as he injured as he delivers the killing blow to Favia. She falls to the ground, and as she dies, the spell on her breaks, transforming her back into her Delemgan form. Favia. Bernat! Bernat! My Bernat, my love, what have you done to me? What was it I said? What was it I did? Has our love soured in your heart? Bernat. Favia, my love, my life, what foul sorcery has befallen you? How have you come to be laid low by my hand? Fie! Fie to the gods for such treachery! Fie to all who stood in our way! Favia, fear not, my beloved, for now we are together, and together we always will be. Nothing can keep us apart, but lo, why is it suddenly so dark? Where is the sun gone? Where are you? I cannot see you. I will find you. Favia dies. Bernat, a curse upon the fiends who has betrayed me. To hold love in your hand and have it wrenched away. Bernat winces and puts his hand in his shirt. It comes out covered in blood. What luck! What chance! Tragedy may yet turn to fortune. Favia, my love, soon I will rest in your arms. We will lie together again as one, and forever we shall be side by side. I go now to meet my love. Barath, I accept your cold embrace. I welcome your company. I beg your mercy. Bernat lies down next to Favia's body. Bernat, I am ready. Bernat dies. Laia steps out from her hiding spot and runs to Bernat's body. Laia, Bernat, you fool, you wretch! How can you leave me? I am alone, I am forgotten. I am cast out without your love. How can I continue? Life holds no thrall without your visage upon which I may gaze. What shall I do? But here, my salvation, my answer. Laia picks up Bernat's sword. Laia, his blade, his weapon. I shall be impaled upon him, and he shall cut through me. I will not be denied my love. I will not be denied my love. You will be mine, if not in this life, then in the next. Laia impales herself on the sword. Laia, I come for you, my love, my Bernat. Wait for me, and I will find you. We shall love forever. Laia dies. So a little bit akin to Romeo and Juliet. Edir Customs. Okay. We might have read this before. Did we? Sweet Treat, Carnival of Mask. Winter's End. I believe I've read this before, but I guess I will just read it again. Edir is a country rich with customs, and they are known for their strict adherence to them. Their customs run the gamut from grand celebrations like the Feast of Feasts to mundane superstitions, such as always avoid sphaff addiction. This volume will focus primarily on bigger celebrations, as no one knows how to throw an extravagant party quite like an Ediran. The Feast of Feasts. The biggest and most important of all Ediran customs is the Feast of Feasts. This week-long celebration happens the first of Fonetsu, Deep Summer, and is dedicated to honoring the life of the first Fairkening. Each day of the week is devoted to some aspect of the Fairkening's life, and there are very specific dishes to be served at each meal. The Feast of Feasts originally began as a festival celebrating the birth of the Fairkening's first son, and soon became a yearly occurrence during the week of his birthday. Currently, adherents simply use it as an excuse for a party and pull out all the stops in an effort to outdo the previous year. And lest you wonder, as I did, which Fairkening is honored during the Feast of Feasts, it is always the current Fairkening, for each Fairkening is the first and only Fairkening. Okay. Sweet Treat, a special custom that arose at some point during the Feast of Feasts. Sweet Treats started as a way to keep children occupied so the parents could dine in peace. While it is still used for that today, significance has been added to it. Each treat is placed in a container, usually small metal boxes, and hidden somewhere on the property. After everything has been hidden, the children are sent out to find the treasures. It is said now that the hidden treats represent Glanfithin artifacts, and the children are the explorers, bringing the riches back to their new and rightful owners. Carnival of the Mask. I'll have a drink here. When the original colonists for Edir traveled to the new land to found the Deerwood in the name of the Edir and Fairkening, they encountered the Glanfithin people. The Carnival of the Mask celebrates this meeting. Originally, it was a mere formal reenactment, as a play, of the tensions between the Glanfithins and the Ediran settlers, but it has since evolved into much more than that. Participants choose sides and come dressed in elaborate outfits depicting which group they decide to align themselves with, Adirans or Glanfithins. Everyone attends a masquerade ball, and this party replaces any semblance of the play that was presented. Winter's End. Winter's End was never anything more than an excuse for a celebration and it hasn't changed in all the years it has existed in Edir. It takes place during the winter dusk and lasts all 3 days. People use the time to reflect on the year, celebrate their lives, and remember the dead, especially those who have passed in the recent year. So now, having read that, I'm pretty certain, like 99% certain I already read that, but might as well finish it once I started. And I guess we'll head upstairs and see what kind of encounters we can have. Maybe we'll just get sent back down, who knows.
Alright then.
Not yet. The notes are scribbled in a cryptic shorthand. Nothing in there. I mean, there's a chest, but we're not going to break into there. Not without any cause, at least. More. It's like all stealing. Yeah. Pictures of all manner of folk are pinned to the board alongside notes scribbled in an indecipherable shorthand. Yeah, that's stealing too. Okay. Can we go in here? No. So, nothing really for us up here. I have a feeling this has something to do with the main story, but I don't really know. I mean, obviously, because we don't know yet, but you know what I mean. I have an inkling, and I won't know until that's confirmed or denied by the gameplay, or the story at some point. They feel important, Dunride Row. Now, I think we came from First Fires. I'm just going to head there, just to be sure. And we want to head to the Ducal Palace, I think, before we go to the Temple of Wodica. I believe we have all the stuff to dress up like we're from the Temple of Wodica. Okay, so that is where we want to go. Because Andred's gift is, I think, where the Temple of Wodica was. And Heritage Hill, I can't remember. Okay, let's go to First Fires. Oh yeah, right. I wonder how our fortress is doing. I think I may go there next and adventure in the dungeon beneath at some point. But let's check on it. How long until that completes? Oh, it is complete. So we could buy something else now? Yeah, no events currently pending. Oh, that's been a while. The walls? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, okay. Finished in 2 days, 13 hours. Derp. Okay. Brackenberry, Temple of Wodica, Crucible Keep, Ducal Palace. Wanderer's Gift, Balian Embassy. Well, let's start right next to us here. We'll start either here... No, we'll start over here. Don't know what we expect to find, but... could be anything. Action, adventure, and steel on steel. The stuff of legends, right, boo? What business brings you to the keep?
Well,
I don't know. I really don't. Oh, right. This is actually where that guy wanted us to recover his armor from, I think? Justiciar Aldmar. Aldmar gives you an appraising eye. Judging by the scars on his face, he's lucky to be able to do that much. Every day we get more from the hinterlands pouring into Defiance Bay. Keeps us busy on the watch, it does. You look like you're recently arrived yourself. Who are you? A soldier of the Crucible Knights, and proud of it. I help keep everything running at the keep so that Commander Cliver can focus on more important matters. Looking for something, or just knocking the dirt off your boots? Tell me about the Crucible Knights. We're the defenders of Defiance Bay. We're not exactly a formal knighthood, but don't tell Commander Cliver that I said that. He grins. We were the first organized militia to oppose Adiran rule, and today we're the largest force in the city. Our soldiers undergo years of combat training, and our officers are required to have their souls read by that critter out in Dunride Row. What's this about Dunride Row? Just a requirement of the Crucible Knights, so the higher-ups know there's nothing messy built into your soul's past. Aldmar widens his stance. Keeping the ranks pure is fine by me. I just wish they were more careful on hiring their ciphers. What's wrong with their ciphers? He shifts his weight and glances at the empty halls. No, they're mostly Orlans. I'm sure they're talented enough, but you just can't trust them. Hostility's in their nature, and they learn to hide it over the years. He frowns and crosses his arms. All I'm saying is, they should at least be supervised by other folk. That's reasonable enough, isn't it? If people treated them better, you wouldn't have to worry about them being so hostile. Aldemar shrugs. I'm just speaking the truth. Nowadays, it seems that that's the biggest crime of all. What goes on in Crucible Keep? This is the headquarters of the Crucible Knights, so it's where we store arms and armor, as well as where many of our soldiers bunk. Commander Cliver's in the back, making plans as usual. He scratches a scarred cheek. You'll find the forge at the west end of the building, along with our master smith, Dunstan. There's also a shrine to the Golem, if you're the praying type. Okay, that's all for now. Let's check out our journal. Rogue Knight. Find the heirloom breastplate. Osric asked us to find Penhelm, the keeper of the armory. Alright. Well, let's check this side first. This looks kind of like a training area. A novitiate, and a bunch more novitiates. A Wyla. We need to deal with Heritage Hill. The Justiciar's gaze flickers over to you briefly before returning to the novitiates gathered in the training area. This is about patrols. My novitiates are already stretched to their limit. Between the refugee influx and the mess at Heritage Hall, I simply don't have any units to spare. After a pause, she looks you over again. I'm sorry, was there something else you needed? Is something wrong at Heritage Hill? She lowers her voice. What isn't wrong is the real question. A whole district of walking, flesh-eating corpses. We sealed the area 2 months ago, just after I lost one of my finest commanders there, and yet this is the second guard rotation to disappear. There are already enough rumors about the place floating around the keep without my soldiers whispering about these disappearances. She shakes her head. I'd just as soon abandon the district, but if those monsters should find a way out... I could look into it. Well, tell me about Heritage Hill. Used to be one of the most prestigious districts in Defiance Bay, but a few months ago the residents all went mad, started eating each other, and anything else that had bad luck to wander into the district. Never seen anything like it. Now, every novitiate that stands guard there, every one that comes back anyways, talks of the stench of the grave and the groans of unspeakable horrors. She holds up one plate-clad finger. The why and how are questions for the Animancers. I've sealed the district in hopes of containing whatever happened there. It seems to be working, for now. What do you do here? I'm in charge of the Keep's novitiates. I'm responsible for their training and patrol assignments. She nods at the ground group gathered in the training room. They're good soldiers, and they've been quick to adapt to new challenges. You said earlier that something was wrong with Heritage Hill. We already read this. I could look into it. She steps back and regards you. After what I've just told you, you want to go to Heritage Hill. I've lost trained soldiers there. Why should I let anyone in? If people are disappearing, someone's got to figure out what's happening to them. If you're so eager to rush to your death, I won't stop you. She quietly looks on at the novitiates. And if you're somehow able to put a stop to this... You've got my permission to enter Heritage Hill. I'll send word to the guards at the gate. Farewell. Huh. Missing sentries. That sounds like a terrifying place to go. Should we go there? We probably will. It got all Walking Dead over there, it sounds like. Hello. This is a record of active patrols and reported crimes in Andra's gift. The latter far outnumber the former. Now, is this stealing? That seems to be the only one that isn't. We'll save just in case. It's a note. Penhelm's affidavit. Okay. That seems a good thing to have, actually. Where did it go? Where did it go? Did it go into, like, quest items? It did. Penhelm's affidavit. Curran, a cipher duly appointed and employed by Dunride Row, does hereby certify that novitiate A.M. Penhelm has been found to have a soul free of any subversive influences or tainted essence. The scroll is stamped with the seal of Dunride Row and signed by both Penhelm and Curran. But is it real? Oops, accidentally hit the wrong key there. Let's see. Minimize to the desktop. Rogue Knight. I have found an affidavit that confirms the lineage of Penhelm's soul. It is signed by Curran, a cipher of Dunride Row. So I guess we should go speak to him and then come back here and have some ammunition against that man when we speak to him.
Of course.
Oh, so much going on. Well, I guess we'll head back towards the entrance. This door isn't locked, is it? Doesn't really matter. So, until next time, if you enjoyed it, please leave me a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. This is Father of Two, signing off.